You know, I really love animals. I think they're just a great inclusion to any story. Animals, no matter if they're real or fiction, can be so funny, supportive, and loyal. And I think we all can agree that most good characters have animal companions. And we'll talk about why and how important they are to any story. This video is a tribute to my dog Diesel, who I'm gonna miss dearly. I didn't even feel like making a video this week or doing anything ever again after he passed, but then I thought since I couldn't make anything else, might as well make a video about this. And I know what you're thinking, why can't this channel keep a consistent tone? One video I'm serious and the next I'm silly, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna take this video too seriously. Diesel was a very silly dog. This dog has never taken anything seriously. He was so weird, so kind, and he never bit anyone. He always loved people, so for his sake, I won't take this video too seriously. I'm sure Diesel and all his absurdity would prefer that. So yeah, let's talk about why animals are so crucial to the story and maybe in some cases necessary. Most characters in fiction will have an animal companion. Aang with Momo and Appa, Hiccup and Toothless, Rapunzel and Pascal. In fact, nearly all the Disney princesses have at least one or two animals. Even the damn rat has a freaking dog. But why?
Why would they do this?
Because in writing, one of the quickest ways to humanize a character, the fastest way to make them likable, just pair them with an animal. Why? Because how someone treats an animal says a great deal about their character without needing to say much at all. It's subtle psychology, the Konami code of writing, if you will. It's not talked about much, but we all know that if someone treats an animal badly, they're just a terrible human being. Point blank period. People who abuse animals have a superiority complex, they have a need to be in control all the time, they lack empathy, and they're sadistic. We've known this since the 70s. Serial killers tortured animals as kids. And for that reason, that's why they gave Mickey Rat a dog. Just so we don't confuse him with a serial killer. It shows that he's a good person, or a mouse, or rat, or whatever the hell he identifies as. It shows that he's willing to take care of something that can't take care of itself. He can provide food, shelter, and care for something that is not himself. And that shows empathy and compassion. These are great, subtle character traits to have. When you follow a character for the very first time, you don't know their intentions. They can be evil incarnate. Why should I like this character I just met? But if you see them being nice to animals, it's a quick way to show their character without having to expound on it. Show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. Even Lord Hater and his evil ass is nice to animals. Yay, I get to talk about Wander Over Yonder for 1 second. How he treats Captain Tim shows personality. Villains with pets is one of my favorite character writing tropes. It's it shows that they don't hate everything. They just have beef with certain people. That's real. Speaking of evil, let's talk about the Fire Nation, shall we? I love this scene from Avatar because this show likes to do everything correctly. Animals are so intertwined within the world, and they're often used to build character. We have the scene with Ursa and Zuko feeding turtle ducks. We know virtually nothing about Ursa. I think one of the biggest mysteries that was established in this show is what the hell happened to her? Well, you have to do your required reading after class because they're not going to tell you in this show. However, it is interesting that one of the few instances we see her, she's just casually feeding turtle ducks in a flashback scene. From a simple, quick read, we could tell that she's a kind person, and we don't know anything about her. And in that same scene, we have young Zuko. He says, "Hey mom, want to see how Azula feeds turtle ducks?" Before essentially chucking the whole loaf of bread at the baby turtle duck. That pissed off his mom instantly, and here we basically have another scene affirming what kind of character Ursa is. She shows compassion again towards those turtle ducks. However, I also appreciate how this reveals what kind of character Zuko is. Basically a product of being constantly surrounded by negative influences. Azula is one of them. Though he was the one who harmed the turtle duck, it's clear that this is something that was learned and not something he made up himself. A perfect flashback to show in an episode where he's by himself, and we're starting to learn more about his internal conflicts. So yes, please use animals as a way to show character. It's a great way to show, not tell. Even old Rose Maddie writes character building in this way, and you don't have to go digging to find it. It's in chapter 1. In chapter 1, Gioni is trying to sell this flannel, but on her way there, she catches Mac attacking a mutated rat with his brand new lance. Gioni sees and is disgusted and asks what he's doing to the rat. Mac says it's not a rat, it's a mutant, basically justifying what he's doing. He gives her the lance to try. She admires it because she really wants a new lance, but ultimately decides not to hurt the mutant rat. Instead, she turns the weapon on Mac. However, she hesitates and doesn't attack him, which leads to her getting her ass kicked. Once Mac leaves, she tries to help the rat, but it bites her and runs away. I tried my best to portray many aspects of this character within this one scene. What do we learn about her? 1, she's disgusted by unnecessary violence. 2, she struggles to be violent herself. 3, she's helpful even when it's not beneficial to her. 4, she gets hurt by others, but she's not vengeful, not to the rat or Mac. We managed to sneak 4 character traits in for Gioni, and all we needed was a mutant rat. I chose personally to put this in chapter 1 so we can understand what she's about. You don't have to sit there and question Gioni's personality because we get to see what she is before we even get to chapter 2. And this rat bite that she has is another symbolic theme for her that we can discuss another time. But chapter 2 is Lamisha's first introduction, and one of the first things that we see her doing is shooting the rat because it's disturbing, quote unquote, and there's no law against it. She misses a bunch of times and she gets frustrated. So what do we learn about her here? 1, rules and laws are her only moral compass for right and wrong. And 2, she's a lousy shot. Now, rule 1 is a rule that will mess with this character's moral compass throughout the entire book. This is one of her main struggles. What's wrong, what's right, and what do the laws say? All represented by our friend the rat. Honestly, this one rat is doing too much heavy lifting in this book. I may give it an Artfight profile next year, but yeah, animals can be very important in showing character. In this context, they're a bit more plot devicey, but what happens when the animal is truly part of the team? What can they contribute to the story? Now, as much as I want to give Gioni some kind of animal companion, I can't. At this point of the story, she is not responsible enough for one. She can barely take care of herself, let alone an animal. I mean, one of her main personality traits is reckless. Recklessness and pet ownership do not mix. So let's talk about the main characters out there who are responsible enough to have an animal companion. Having an animal companion adds to the story in so many ways, like literally for support and survival. Most animals in fiction serve purposes. They attack, they protect, and they transport. Without them, the whole story could just fall apart in so many ways. When people say that Appa carried Team Avatar, he literally carried Team Avatar, and when he was captured, his absence was felt. We just love our animals that are just as crucial to the team as anyone else. Animals are skilled fighters, and I think the cool thing about that is that they're literally born this way. They have the instinct to love, and they have the instinct to fuck shit up. Some animals have sharper claws, sharper teeth, and they're faster and stronger. Like, why wouldn't you add them to the team? They're freaking cool. Animals are also really good comedians. I think some of my favorite scenes of comedy come from animal companions, especially when it's much more gestural and a lot less talking. Hot take, but I'm not the biggest fan of animals talking, unless they're actually funny. And wait, before you get pissed off at me, let me clarify. Furry and furry talking to each other, that's fine. Furry and human talking to each other, I love this. No notes. Animals talking to each other, but they're speaking animalese, and no human can understand them. So cute. I love it. Animals communicating with each other through animal noises. This one is my favorite, hands down. A human speaking to an animal and they're speaking English together. I raise a freaking eyebrow. This one I'm not a fan of. Furry and animals speaking English to each other. I don't have an opinion, just way too many questions. The best ones for sure are humans with animal companions that make animal noises. Animals that talk sometimes need to shut the fuck up. I mean, I get that it could be a source of comic relief. Some of them are really funny, like Donkey from Shrek, and then there's like Mushu from Mulan, especially when he says, "You missed! How could you miss? He was 3 feet from you." That always kills me and puts tears in my eyes. They're funny, and the movie would not be the same without them. But what ruins this trope are the unfunny ones. I think the grandfather of annoying talking animals would be Scrappy-Doo. I didn't watch Scooby-Doo when he was introduced, but it's like one of those characters talked about and passed down from writer to writer as an example of like what not to do. He was added later in the cast to spice things up, like some kind of shitty marketing strategy. However, he ultimately became arrogant, obnoxious, aggressive, and annoying. And then, of course, he started to overpower the original crew in terms of screen presence. Like, anyone in 1979 who was watching Scooby-Doo and saw this fucker, they fucking hated him. And one of Scrappy-Doo's biggest fucking haters is James Gunn. James Gunn hated Scrappy-Doo so much that he later made him a villain 20 years later. I think he was also like the villain in Velma too. Imagine being such an annoying character that writers don't do anything with you other than make you evil 20 to 40 years later. And you're thinking, oh, that's the thing of the past. A character from 1979. No one would dare make a modern, annoying animal character. Valentino. Valentino is our modern day Scrappy-Doo. The hate this character receives is also well documented. A common thread: if they aren't funny, stop talking. Talking animals in these kinds of instances come off as lazy to me in terms of writing, because instead of trying to work with the abilities an animal has, you instead give them this unnatural power of speaking English, and then on top of that, you kind of just disrespect the animal by making them annoying and saying only jokes. As if animals would ever give off that vibe. I mean, not to generalize all animals, but like, come on, dog. It's so strange because animals don't need to talk in order to be funny. Home videos and the internet have shown us time and time again that animals can be smart, funny, without speaking English. So why not write animals with visual comedy, since a lot of animals are visual comedians? And I'm not saying that animals have to be like realistic, just why not use their current abilities and put up their forms of comedy? Literally, I think Tom and Jerry are like a good example of animals that don't talk and use a bunch of absurd visual comedy. Shut up about the movie. Also, the animals in Tangled, like Pascal and Maximus, are insanely funny. Even in the TV show, I honestly think how animals are written in the Tangled universe is like the gold standard. And no, I'm not biased because I like Tangled. Okay, maybe I'm just a little biased, but it's for a good reason. The animals in Tangled can communicate with just expressions and gestures and drawings, and it's just so fun to see. Like, they talk to each other in animal noises. It's so cute. Day of the Animals is an episode solely dedicated to them, and the crazy part is that the animals got a freaking character arc. Like literal character development, learning to work together. Why give the animals an arc? It's because in this universe, they're characters in their own right. I can't tell you how many arcs this frog has gone in, especially regarding friendship and teamwork. Don't be afraid to make your animal characters expressive. We don't want another live-action Lion King. There's a balance needed between realism and fiction. Don't be scared to use visual comedy and gestures and facial expressions. Those are all good. Sure, it's much harder to write than making them talk, but when you set limitations on your characters, whether it's superpowers or animals being able to talk or whatever, that's when creativity shines through. Having a character not talk is one of the hardest limitations for a writer, but it's also very possible. Pascal, Maximus, Rudiger, and dare I say Hamiel are all great characters with clear personalities that actively participate in the plot, and they make for such fun additions. You're free to write your animal companion however you want, but I encourage you to take the hard route, the loved route for them. Use them to build character and also use them as companions for the adventure. Animals are always fun and cute additions to any story. But okay, I think that's all I have to say about animals. Let me know if you have any animals in your story. What kind of animal are they, and do they contribute to the plot? I need to know. But yeah, okay, that's it. That's the video. If you're interested, check out my book 2152, the Trifold article. It's both animated and illustrated, sci-fi and adventure. I want to talk about the wildlife refuge in this video because that's where most of the animals in this book reside, but maybe I'll save that for a world building video. I don't know. Anyways, my book will be linked below as well as the newsletter. Make sure to check out the additional links below and see if there's anything that interests you. Like and subscribe and whatever, that is much appreciated. Have fun while creating today, and I'll see you guys later!